All right, so we're starting our fast food project, and most of us are going to make a sandwich or a hamburger or something like that. And so when we look at this hamburger and look at all the things on it, from the buns to the meat to the cheese or the lettuce, to the top bun and all the stuff in between, if you notice, almost everything kind of lines up right down this center, right? Everything's kind of stuck down the middle. There's a few things that are off, like the pickles maybe, or the bacon here. And a lot of it's just stacked, kind of like we had this central pole in the middle that we're stacking on. And so what we want to think about when we're doing this and setting up our fast food to draw our individual parts is that we want to create those parts to make them easy to assemble. So I'm going to show you a few tricks when we're setting up our part. Okay, so I'm going to start a new part. Now the first thing is, I usually am looking down on the parts. Most of the parts I'm going to draw, I'm going to look down on. So it's like we're trying the top view. So we don't want to use the normal XY plane that we normally draw on, or the YZ, but if you use the XZ plane, it's the one that's like the floor or the ceiling where we're looking down. So if you start drawing on that. And then if we're making something like a hamburger bun, okay, or just a meat patty, when we're making it, we're kind of just going to make a circle. But don't make the circle just randomly out here anywhere. If we make the circle and we make that circle start right here at the origin, and we make that circle, and I don't know, we're going to have a 4-inch hamburger. That seems like a reasonable hamburger size. Okay, as we do that, as we finish that sketch, and then we extrude something like this, and this is going to be a pretty crude hamburger, but that's all right. You can always make them a little bit fancier. Right now we're just going over some of the hints on how to make it better. So there's my hamburger patty. Okay, it's not a fancy hamburger patty. It looks kind of like one of those pre-made frozen ones you get from H-E-B or whatever, in the big stack, right? Okay, so, but there's my hamburger. But now if I look, when I open up the origin, if I hit the plus next to origin, there's the YZ plane. So I'm going to make that visible. And there's the XY plane. I'm going to make that visible. And now I have these planes that are, look, they cross right in the middle. And I can even make, if I look at an axis, I can make it the intersection of two planes. So I could pick this plane, and now I have an axis, if you see right there, that points right down the middle. And why does that make a difference? I'll show you in just a second. So let me make another part. So let me save this one. We're just going to save it as, we can call it temporary patty. And then we'll save that. Now let's go make another part. Let's make something square. Let's make a flat piece of cheese, right? Just the American orange cheese that comes individually wrapped stuff. Let's just make a piece of that. So let's make another part. Okay, so we're going to start another sketch. We're going to look down from the top again. This time we're going to make a rectangle. Now the rectangle is hard. Where's the center, right? I can't get it right in the center. But if you look underneath here, look, this rectangle, it starts in the middle just like a circle. Oh my God, look at that. Okay, well, let's make it 4 inches by 4 inches so it fits on my patty just right. Oops. Get that. There we go. Let's finish that sketch. Let's extrude that. It probably doesn't be extruded very far because it's just a tiny little piece of cheese. Probably even less than that, but it doesn't really matter because we're just showing you a few things. And then look, if we look at the origin again, there's that plane. I'm going to make them visible just so we can see what we're doing easier. And then again, I can make that axis right down the middle, intersection of two planes, and I just click that one and that one. Now I have the axis and I have those two planes. Let me save this. We're going to save that as my temporary cheese. These are just trials. Okay, and then let's see how we put them together so it looks more like that original hamburger that I had. So we're going to go make an assembly, and we're going to place my temporary cheese. Open him up. We'll set him there. Click once, then hit escape so we can get out of there. And then we're going to go place my temporary patty. And open him up. We're going to just sit him anywhere. It doesn't matter. And then we're going to escape so we only have one of him. It doesn't matter where they're sitting. They can sit anywhere. They can be on top of each other, inside of each other. It doesn't matter because now we're going to line them up. So we're going to put that piece of cheese on top of the hamburger. So remember constraints. We're going to mate them together. That's like smacking your hands together. So we're going to mate the top of this with the bottom of the cheese. And then boom, we're going to say apply. Now look, that's great. And it's stuck on there. Okay? But it's not lined up. How am I going to line it up? Well, look, they all line up right down the middle on this pole. So we're going to go mate this axis with that axis, and bam, look at that. Okay, and then I'm going to say okay. And now if I see this, I have these two things, they sit together. Okay, and we're good. We're, kind of like we're stuck. We can't move apart. Now normally it's going to spin on you. And let's go look at our degrees of freedom analysis. See, there's still one rotation because it can spin. So we don't want it to spin. Now mine are lined up pretty good, so it doesn't look, but see how that patty spins? We don't want it to spin. So we're going to do one more constrain, and we're going to mate this. It doesn't matter if it's the YZ or it doesn't matter which plane, just as long as you get two planes and line them up, and boom, it sticks them together. And you say okay, and now if we look at my degree of freedom analysis, locked in. Now the whole thing moves, that's why there's 3 up here. So usually your bottom bun, we didn't do a bottom bun, but if we did a bottom bun, when we brought it in, we'd ground it, right? So let's say we were going to ground the patty. So we'd go down here and we'd say, so we're down here grounded. And when we do that, it locks it in. And now nothing can move, right? It's stuck, stuck, stuck. And now look, there's zeros everywhere. Okay? So that is the whole thing. That's making your sandwich. Even when you make something like a pickle or a bacon or anything else, if you just have these things here, you can do something called offset as well. So let's just make this a really long video. Let's go over offset really quick. So let's go back to my assembly. Let's pretend I didn't want that exactly on there like that was, right? That I wanted to offset it a little bit. Okay, so when you do one of these mates like this, where we line that stuff up, okay, so if I edit that, there's this thing, look, it says offset. So if I offset that by 1 inch, look how it squeezed it over. See how it moved it over that inch? Okay, now when you're lining up on just an axis like that, you kind of don't know which way it's going to go with that 1 inch. But you can just play around with that stuff, and it moves it around. And so if this was just, instead of a big piece of cheese, it was a little piece of bacon we didn't want right in the middle, we could just snuck it over to the side a little bit. And look how easy that is. That's all there is to this. Super easy. You guys can handle this. Alright, that's the end of this video. I'll probably come back with some other videos on how to do some other things, but that should get you a really good start. Think and plan as you're building your parts. Makes it easier to line them up when you get to assembly.